So where's all our M&A here in the healthcare sector?
I know, it was definitely an expectation coming into the conference, but if we think about M&A in the group, I think about my pharma world. 2019 was really the year of the mega deal. We had this conference last year, right ahead of it, we had Bristol acquiring Celgene, 2 other very large transactions over the course of the year. We're still thinking 2020 is a very active year for deals. We think those deals are going to look a little different, though. So we're expecting for deals much smaller transactions. A lot of companies doing tuck-in deals, really trying to build out their pipelines. There's been some expectation we'd hear that at the conference. So far, it's been a bit light. The year is early, and we're still thinking it's going to be a pretty fruitful year from the M&A perspective.
So, Chris, I mean, obviously, one of the big stories of the last year has been the issues going on in Washington and the attempts to sort of change the healthcare system. That really weighed on a lot of the big healthcare players over the past year. Investors
Absolutely.
seem to be a little bit more forgiving at this stage. What are your expectations there?
Yeah, so my expectations, it's a dynamic situation, obviously. Drug prices and drug affordability, it's a core issue. And honestly, a topic of conversation in every meeting we're having here in San Francisco. I've covered this group 20 years. When I look at changes in the healthcare system, they've almost always been incremental versus transformational. So when we're thinking about kind of 2020, we're going to have to watch what plays out from a political standpoint. But we think some of the policies that could reduce patient out-of-pocket could actually be very beneficial for the sector as a whole, maybe taking this issue of drug pricing a little bit off the table. I think what we would be more concerned about, something like a Medicare for all. But again, the challenges of getting something that implemented are significant, and we're not expecting that at this point.
So what about on the drug development side here? I mean, we've seen a lot of big misses, a few big hits as well over the last year or so. But there's this idea here that you have to sort of allocate a lot of that research money to sort of trying to hit these home runs rather than maybe going for something that's a little bit more slim. Is that trend going to continue, or are we going to start to see a little bit more diversification and where these companies allocate that research money?
Yeah, I mean, I like that R&D approach of trying to go for the home run, because I think what we had was a problem for the industry going back the last 5 or 10 years was focus more on smaller benefit or drugs that weren't really that transformational. What I'm hearing from all of my companies is really trying to take some of these big unmet needs head on. There's a lot of new technologies to do that. So we think about gene therapy, CAR T, bispecific antibodies. And we're really thinking the next 3 to 5 years about harnessing those technologies, and that we can have these really breakthrough medicines coming forward. I'd also just put it in context, from an R&D productivity standpoint, the last 3 years, we've seen more drug approvals than we've ever seen. And we think that level of high approvals is going to continue going forward. So while there's been some notable misses, we think the overall story here is still a very positive one from an innovation standpoint.
So, Chris, are there different types of, say, mergers happening, not between the big guys or not generic to specialty drugs, but is it going to be about innovation and technology and sort of the use of, say, data or something along those lines that's kind of transforming the industry?
I think those are great points. I think data will be core to this. What I'm thinking about is I think about consolidation. It's really about getting players together. So I'm thinking about, as an example, you've got a company like Merck. They've got Keytruda. It's the largest oncology drug ever launched. They don't have a broader oncology portfolio. We then think about the smaller cap biotech world. There's dozens of companies that you could conceivably partner or with Keytruda. And I think what the challenge will be the next few years of, do you do partnerships, do you outright acquire? But I think it's much more about collaboration going forward. And again, the good news is that innovation has been a challenge over time, and we're really seeing some very positive trends on the underlying science going in the right direction.